Gabriel Chana is Gail Chord's pen name. Laurie McBride is the wife of the Jesuit clone of actor Brent Spiner. The real Brent Spiner has had no willing and knowing sex with this publicist and has never ever desired her. While Brent desired Gail every day from 1990 to now, Jesuit stole Brent's semen and then used this semen to impregnate or implant it into Laurie without sex. From 1992 to now, Laurie threatens death to Gail if Brent won't cooperate with her desire for publicity as Brent's sexual partner, if Brent won't play her game. Since Gail's divorce in 2001, Gail has not dated anyone and has only had sex with one man her entire life, her ex-husband. Brent Spiner, in his CD Dreamland, sings about Gail and his journey with her from 1990 to now. Gail broke down in tears when she first heard it on February 8, 2010. 1957. Gail was born September 15, 1957, at Jackson Memorial Hospital, Miami, Florida, to a pilot father and a fashion model mother. Though her mother is fluent in Japanese, she never taught Gail the Japanese language, but her mother did raise Gail by herself, so Gail was raised on Japanese food, and Gail has a Japanese approach to romance. Most of her mother's royal bloodlines are from the Ainu Amishi race, where Brent tells Gail her royal German-Russian bloodlines come from, which is where Gail got the genes of Catherine the Great. The royal German-Russian bloodlines from Gail's mother are dominant in Gail, which explains why Gail does not look Japanese. 1960. Her father left home for good and her parents divorced. 1961. Gail's great-uncle, Howard Hughes, made the film The Carpetbaggers about himself, using the character named Jonas Chord. Gail's maiden name is Chord. 1963. Gail began elementary school in Miami. 1969. Gail won first place in an elementary school spelling bee, for which she never studied 1 minute. She began junior high at Miami. She studied Spanish in 7th and 8th grades. 1971, she moved to Oxnard, California, and began high school at Port Hueneme, California, where she accepted Christ as her Savior. 1972, her family moved back to Miami, Florida. She attended 9th grade at junior high, started 10th grade in a Miami high school, studied German in the 10th and 11th grades, and as a member of her high school's concert chorus, she sang in the chorus for Handel's Messiah, which was the chorus for professional operas with the Miami Beach Symphony Orchestra, and in the Apple Blossom Festival in Virginia, with a voice like Julie Andrews or Shirley Jones. If Gail wanted to, she could have sung opera or the solo parts for Handel's Messiah. 1975, her last 2 years of high school, she studied literature, including Russian literature and War and Peace in advanced level English classes. She took 1 year of typing and was the second best in her class. She graduated from high school. Again, in early college, she sang in the chorus for Handel's Messiah, for choruses and professional operas, with the Miami Beach Symphony Orchestra in the Apple Blossom Festival in Virginia, which is why Gail chose I'll Be With You in Apple Blossom Time for her Silver Skies theme song, and she also sang in the chorus for the musical Brigadoon. She started college at a community college in Miami as a pre-medicine or nursing major. Her first year of college, she took pre-med courses. In 1976, her great-uncle Howard Hughes died. She received none of his inheritance and hardly noticed his death and did not know he was a relative. She visited Japan in July to see relatives. In 1977, she received an Associate in Arts in Pre-Nursing from a community college with a 3.4 grade point average. She began nursing studies at Florida State University School of Nursing in Tallahassee, Florida, which was a Bachelor of Science nursing program. In 1978, she switched her major from nursing to health education. In 1979, she took a year of music theory and a food preparation course as electives from Florida State University. She graduated cum laude with honors with a Bachelor of Science in Health Education from Florida State University. She was accepted to Air Force Officers Training School in Lackland, Texas, but rejected this to attend Baptist University of America in Decatur, Georgia, which is in the same family of schools as Bob Jones University in Greenville, South Carolina, Jerry Falwell's Liberty University, and Baptist Bible College in Springfield, Missouri. Brent did inform Gail around 2002 to 2003 that her paternal grandfather was Howard Hughes' genetic brother. Gail's paternal grandfather died in October in Tampa, Florida, 1981. Gail went to the funeral of Howard Hughes' brother, but she did not know that Howard Hughes was related to her at the time. In 1982, she took a year and a half of piano lessons and practiced on Kauai pianos, and took a year of literature at Baptist University. She also studied missions and education. In 1983, she graduated with a Bachelor of Science degree in Humanities and was the outstanding humanities graduate with an emphasis in missionary preparation and teaching from Baptist University of America, Decatur, Georgia. She now had 2 bachelor's degrees and taught chemistry, biology, math, science, and Bible 1 year at a Christian high school in Florida. She was 5'7" and 130 pounds. In 1984, she worked as a secretary for the U.S. Army Recruiting Battalion, Miami, Florida, and then for IRS attorneys in downtown Miami while she was engaged. She never kissed her fiancé, held his hand, or had any body contact with him during the entire engagement and dating period. She did not want to risk premarital sex. All her dates were talk only. In 1985, she got married as a virgin on April 20th, 1985. She was proud that before marriage she had no physical contact at all with her fiancé during the entire dating and engagement period. Her family transferred to Oregon. She worked as a secretary for the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers in Portland, Oregon. In 1986, her family transferred to the Upper Peninsula of Michigan. She lived in a new mobile home. Her family drove Gail to Flint, Michigan to buy her a new Kauai apartment upright piano. In 1987, because her family lived on the U.S.-Canadian border, her son was born in a Canadian hospital. She was now a stay-at-home mom. In 1988, she began accounting correspondence studies and studied management, accounting, introduction to business, business writing, and business math. She was experiencing sleep problems, tried psychiatric medicines for this, and gained about 10 pounds on psychiatric medications. The medicines didn't work except the tranquilizer because she did not have psychiatric problems. She did experience voice problems now. Her mother married a retired Army lieutenant colonel in 1988. In 1989, a lady at a Canadian church educated Gail about Carol Jackson's Color Me Beautiful. Gail bought the book and started to explore fashion design and color. Her family transferred to Miami, Florida. She abandoned her accounting studies due to stress from child welfare agencies or the state government. She started writing Brent Spiner about once a month. About this time, Gail's paternal grandmother died in North Carolina. An ear, nose, and throat specialist told Gail she could never sing again, and she was diagnosed with spasmodic dysphonia. Gail had a tubal ligation at Homestead Air Force Base in Homestead, Florida. In August 1989, she wrote Richard Arnold at Paramount Studios to get information about how to write Brent Spiner. Richard replied and she started a pen friendship with him. In 1990, she received a letter from her hero, Brent Spiner, in August 1990. On cassette tape, she sang and played hymns on piano for him. Brent responded with his debut album of love songs for Gail, Old Yellow Eyes Is Back. She wrote Brent every couple weeks at his Paramount Studios address. In Brent's Dreamland CD, the song and story around Somebody Loves Me seems to be around 1990 in Brent and Gail's love story. In 1991, she abandoned her psychiatric medications after a stomach virus forced an instant withdrawal from a tranquilizer and thus a visit to the emergency room. She was not sleeping well. Her family transferred to Seattle, Washington, and she lived in a first-story apartment. Though Gail never encouraged romance, Brent Spiner called on the phone, caressing her with his velvet tenor voice that yearned for her with depths, longings, and desires. In Brent's Dreamland CD, the songs and story around Some Enchanted Evening and the Moonbeam song seem to be around 1991 in Brent and Gail's love story. After Melody Rondeau mailed to Gail Brent's album Old Yellow Eyes Is Back, Gail recognized the voice of her mystery caller as Brent Spiner. Despite a loveless marriage, Gail turned Brent, her dream man, down for physical intimacy and chose a passionate, long-distance friendship instead. Because of Brent's influence, Gail re-evaluated some of her hardcore Christian stands, especially in regards to music, sex, and dating. Gail now wrote Brent every day and used a camcorder to mail him videos of her piano playing and singing on her Kauai apartment upright. She enrolled in the Institute of Children's Literature, a 2-year children's writing course. Because of the Brent-Gail relationship, the Jesuits murdered courageous Texan Gene Roddenberry and fired Roddenberry's assistant Richard Arnold a few days after Gene Roddenberry's death on October 24, 1991. Jesuits, with mind-reading technology, knew that Gene Roddenberry or Richard Arnold, Gail's former pen friend, would oppose Jesuit plans. With Arnold and Roddenberry gone, Jesuits at Paramount laid down the law to Brent in 1992. His rapist Laurie must be his public girlfriend. In 1992, Gail studied WordPerfect 5.1 word processing program and used this to compose her writings. She finished a Star Trek The Next Generation teleplay called Law, written to honor Brent. Paramount Studios rejected Law as a script in August 1992. The Jesuit orders Category 5 Hurricane Andrew's eye hit Miami, where Gail's mother and stepdad lived and where her mother-in-law lived, and devastated the town where Gail grew up. Andrew destroyed Homestead Air Force Base, where Gail had her tubal ligation in 1989. After Andrew, Gail's mother, stepdad, and mother-in-law moved out of South Florida. In Brent's Dreamland CD, the songs and story around You Were Meant for Me and I Love You Nice and Easy seem to be around 1991 and 1992 in Brent and Gail's love story. 2 weeks after Hurricane Andrew, during the filming of Star Trek The Next Generation's A Fistful of Datas, around Gail's birthday, September 15, 1992, Laurie McBride, a Jesuit and a woman with many clones, continually drug-raped Brent for 3 weeks and devastated him. So Brent ignored Gail on her birthday and gave her 3 weeks of silence. Gail mailed letter after letter to Brent. Brent, what's wrong? Why won't you call me? No answer. He always calls me on my birthday. Oh, something terrible has happened. Ill with grief, Gail lost sleep and cried all day for days and days. In Brent's Dreamland CD, The Rude Awakening, where Brent wakes up with a strange woman, Laurie McBride, refers to the 3 weeks of silence he gave Gail in September 1992. In 1993, in July 1993, Brent called Gail and made love to her on the phone. A day later, Gail received a phone call at midnight from an alto-voiced, furious woman. This is how Laurie McBride's voice gets lower when she's frustrated. Laurie was frustrated that Brent was not giving her sex, and she screamed at Gail with desperation and venom, "Hey, bitch, what the fuck are you doing to my boyfriend?" Gail thought the woman some Paramount wacko who had a sick obsession with Brent. In Brent's Dreamland CD, the song I'm Sitting on Top of the World seems the time right before Laurie drug-raped him and before she extorted herself onto Brent. But it may extend to 1996 because Gail didn't dump Brent as a lover until then. The old Hollywood had returned, and Brent got extorted into a Paramount Studios enforced publicity relationship with his true stalker, Laurie McBride. Brent and Laurie have no sexual relationship outside of her drug rape of Brent in September 1992. And this ends the beginning of Gail's life history.